Greetings from the Hogans in front of the Moulmein Road Church of Christ in Singapore. We're in front of the building on this very busy thoroughfare. It's a 6-lane road, busy point in the city. And you can see our neighbors here, a Chinese Buddhist temple. And then if you go this way, here's our little old church building. Basic structure comes from pre-war 1920s. And then our neighbor over there, you can't see real well, but it's a Hindu temple. Anyway, I just want to give you greetings from Singapore. And thank you for making time for us today during this Your Missions Sunday week, where we can send our greetings and gratitude to you for all that you've done for us and the church here in Singapore and the region where we have been involved for these 20 plus years, thanks to your involvement with us. So greetings, and we look forward to these few moments together where we give you an overview of what we've been involved in and what we are currently involved in and hope to be involved in coming years with God's blessing and guidance. My involvement with the Edmond Church began when I was a teenager. Well, not that I knew anything about the Edmond Church, or maybe those that kind of later connected me to the Edmond Church, but there was a young family, a young couple and their 3 kids named Herman and Charlotte Burrow. And they were working in Singapore with an oil company and became involved in the local church. In fact, Herman, my dad, and another missionary became the first elders of the Moulmein Church, very briefly. Anyway, Herman went back to Oklahoma and settled in Edmond, Oklahoma, and we stayed in touch through my parents. And when Debbie and I got married and then were heading for mission field in 1987, my dad suggested I contact Herman Burrow, who was then serving as an elder of the Edmond Church. I did. He connected me with the missions committee, and the church immediately sent us a couple of $100 to say, this will help you get there, but you know, that's all we can do right now. And I said, thank you very much. So we came over on faith, surviving on about $900 a month, but we just kept sending our report. Then out of the blue, a year and a half or 2 later, I got a call on our phone. We were sitting in our living room in Singapore, and a voice said, hello, Dave, this is Carl Bishop. Carl Bishop? You remember Carl Bishop? I used to be a missionary kid in Malaysia, Klang, Malaysia, in the 70s. I was like, hey, Carl! He said, yeah, Dave, I'm the head of I'm chairman of the missions committee. And we're wondering, could we help you guys? You know, maybe we're thinking of, we noticed you didn't have much support, and we were thinking of raising some funds for you, a one-time offering. It might average out to $1,500 or $2,000 a month. Would that be okay? So I thought for about 0.5 seconds and said, yeah! And that was the beginning of a more official month after month support from the Edmond Church, which then led to you becoming our primary sponsor in January of 1991 through the later influence of Glover Ship. And so from 1991 onwards, you were our main sponsor, with a few others contributing to help us. Our relationship continued to grow in 2002. In 2003, you invited us, or Oklahoma Christian University invited me to teach as a visiting missionary. And you said, yeah, let's come spend that year with us. And let's get to know you and Debbie and Brita better. And it gives you a chance to get to know us. And what a fantastic year we had in Edmond, Oklahoma in 2002-2003 academic year. It gave our Singapore-born daughter a chance to live in America, and gave us a chance to have an American experience as a family together before she entered high school. So then we came back in July of 2003, and we've remained here ever since. You sent several visitors our way. I think Glover Ship was our first, who came in the early 90s to do some very special training on urban evangelism for our local leaders. Then in 1999, or maybe early 2000, you sent Mark Coleman and Alan England, who is our contact with the missions committee, to spend a couple of weeks with us, and we enjoyed that visit. And then finally, in 2008, Doug Dye, Jerry Campbell, and chairman of the missions committee, James Lauderdale, came and spent a couple of weeks with us, and we had quite a few adventures together here in Singapore and in Malaysia. So that's sort of the history of our involvement over these years together, and we've appreciated your prayers, your encouragement, letters of support and encouragement from individuals and classes. And I remember one time someone even hooked me up to teach James chapter 2 in one of your adult Bible classes, my first big internet techno adventure. So we've had quite a journey together. We're now upstairs in my office. Just now I spoke to you in the auditorium. I forgot to mention that, you know, we don't usually have Cat in the Hat pictures on the wall, but that was left over from yesterday's Children Outreach Day, celebrating children. We had a lot of visitors with their children who'd come to our VBS in the past years. What I want to do now is just kind of give you a sense of current state of affairs at Moulmein Road. 200 members, give or take. A lot of children and teens and young adults. We are a young family church. God has given us a united shepherding leadership team. And this is just the heart and core of Moulmein Road, and these men are committed to valuing and encouraging and supporting the gifts of all those who are part of this congregation. We have active ministry teams, 11 separate ministries, all led by volunteers, all of them creative, energetic, full of dreams and ideas. I'm most grateful for a new young part-time leader who's really evangelistic and keen to start a ministry to young people from People's Republic of China. So we have a new outreach to young Chinese. We also have a new outreach to many of the Filipinos who live and work and serve in Singapore. Don Buo has been with us since the beginning of this year, and already we've probably got about almost a dozen have appeared in our church through his connections in just the last few months. Overall, Moulmein Road is a welcoming, joyful, compassionate group of young Christians, very mission-focused. We have our annual mission outreach to Cambodia. We're involved with Malaysia. We are more and more becoming involved with churches in the Philippines. And with our group here in China, we will no doubt become more and more involved in mainland China. Also, we have a number of discipleship classes that we run every year. This year we've had 2 separate groups. Usually when young teenagers hit about 12 or 13, they are encouraged and invited, if they want to be in the discipleship class, which very intentionally leads them to understand what it means to follow Jesus and what it means to make a commitment in baptism. And for the most part, it leads to a decision to be baptized. So we've had 2 batches this year, and the newest batch just began and will continue through the end of the year with another group starting in the beginning of next year. So these are some of the things that are going on here in the Moulmein Road Church. I want to share with you some of our future hopes, dreams, plans. I thought I'd be in the auditorium because, you know, one thing we're hoping is to tear this down. We resolved some, legal crisis over this building years ago. We almost lost it completely. We're glad that it's in the hands of local leadership, trusted, godly local leadership. And they want to redevelop this property to bless this community, to have an auditorium that will seat more than double this amount. And we have an architectural design, and we're pleading with the government to give us final permission to go with that plan. When they do give us the final permission, wow, that's going to be a challenge because we will have a $4 to $5 million commitment. We're not there yet, but we're getting very, very close. We want, in redeveloping the building, of course, to create more space to grow, but we also want to be a base for service in our community. We want to host kindergarten because we want to attract more and more young families. More and more every year we target 30 to 40 outsider children to join in our Vacation Bible School outreach, and we'll be doing that again in November this year. We also make a very intensive outreach to fellow young adults and teenagers and young families, because that's the future of growth in this church. But of course, everybody's welcome. We also have very intentional efforts to cultivate missionaries for our region. That's why we've been having our annual mission trips now for 6 years. We've been going to Cambodia to equip teenagers, and now some of them are thinking about when they will be missionaries. We also are encouraging our young people in using their gifts in every possible way they can to bless this church creatively and to bless this community. We have at least 3 very intentional ways we've tried to connect in community service with our neighborhoods in Singapore, not just this neighborhood, but beyond. The first one, which has been very successful, was the Center for Fathering, which became nationally known as one of the primary best parenting equipping organizations in Singapore. We also started the Friends of the Disabled, which reaches out to severely disabled people who are limited to their homes and limited in their incomes, training them to make artistic items that they can sell and support themselves. That ministry continues. And then we have just started a new outreach we call Heartbeat Singapore, which will be an umbrella organization which will run parenting courses, which will run work-life balance, which will run teacher support and education groups in schools and values education for young adults and university students. This has just begun. We already have invitations to go out into our community, and we're excited about this possibility. So these are some of the things, and by the way, there are many more, but we're excited already with what the future holds as God continues to bless our efforts. On behalf of the congregation at 131 Mulmain Road, I want to thank you for everything that you've done over these decades, for your involvement, your financial support, your prayers, your encouragement, your visits, your care, your concern that's helped us keep going. We appreciate it. I personally thank you. Debbie and Brita, thank you. And by the way, I forgot to mention, Brita is in Austin, Texas, and has another 1.5 years of school. She's transferring there. We are grateful for all that you have done. And we pray that you'll continue to be the blessing to others that you have been to us. God bless you in all your work. May you be a beacon for His kingdom and a blessing to your neighbors, your region, in Edmond, and everywhere else in the world you continue to be involved. But I understand Anna Lynn, Camilla,